But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Hillary Clinton emerged from her coven yesterday. On MSNBC, she had an exclusive one-on-one with Rachel Maddow, and I regret to inform you that we have several clips of it. I regret to inform you of that because, honestly, if I want to keep an audience, the last thing I should do is present two odious, unlikable individuals like Rachel Maddow and Hillary Clinton. But what she had to say is incredibly newsworthy and noteworthy and educational for all of us, because Hillary Clinton's about to paint a picture of the type of America we'll have should Kamala Harris prevail this November. Watch this.
Boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
We need a better deterrent from people spreading misinformation online. And so we should contemplate criminal charges against them, criminal charges against people for spreading what Hillary Clinton considers to be misinformation. I almost said Kamala Harris, but really it's about Kamala Harris because that's what she's there for. She's there to promote Kamala Harris and how important it is that she not just win the presidency, but then institute some very real reforms and changes in how we have political discussions and even elections in this country, because we've got to stop this disinformation that gets spread. Criminal prosecution. This is a woman who 8 years ago wanted to swear on a Bible that she would protect and defend the Constitution, a Constitution that has as its very first article the protection of free speech and the protection of a free press, especially speech that you might not like, especially things printed in the press that you might disagree with. According to Hillary Clinton, if it falls under the parameters that she and her friends get to describe as misinformation, you'll go to jail. I don't think they quite understand what the Constitution is and what the First Amendment says, or they just don't care. If this doesn't send a chill up your spine that this woman is even still respected in any way. By the way, NBC News, MSNBC, Rachel Maddow actually entertaining this and not pushing back and challenging, saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Who's to say what misinformation is or not? That's the last thing you want the government deciding, right? I mean, just for a moment here, let's play this out. Because just a few years ago, if you said that the COVID-19 virus could have originated in the Wuhan lab in China, that was considered disinformation by the government. Now, back in those good old days, the government just put pressure on social media companies to delete and censor and remove that content from their platforms. But if this person had her way, you'd be thrown in jail. And it doesn't end there. Whether it's the effectiveness of the COVID-19 shot or whether it's the legitimacy of the Hunter Biden laptop, they considered that the official government position on those stories was that that was disinformation, Russian disinformation, in fact, and Hillary Clinton would throw you in jail. Hillary Clinton would have Kamala Harris throw you in jail. This is terrifying. Oh, one other thing I think is noteworthy, by the way. I think it's fair to say that of the examples I just gave you, none of them hold a candle to the mother of all disinformation campaigns over the last 8 years of our life. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. The idea that Donald Trump won the 2016 election through collusion with the Russian government that was evidenced by the Steele dossier, you know, the Russian dossier that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Donald Trump was in bed with the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin, and they worked together to defeat this woman, Hillary Clinton, and win the 2016 election. That story ended up instigating an FBI counterterrorism investigation into the Trump campaign. Eventually, that morphed into an investigation of the sitting president, the Trump administration, which then led to the Robert Mueller special prosecutor investigation. And that entire story, including the key evidence, the Steele dossier, that entire narrative was created out of whole cloth by her. The Steele dossier was paid for by her. I mean, she is, in fact, the author of the greatest disinformation political story of the last decade. And she now dares to sit up on NBC with that peacock and say that disinformation should be subject to criminal prosecution. Listen, lady, if that's your position, okay, I'll walk down that road with you. Can we start with you? Could we start with you, please? Tell you what, if a prosecution of you over the disinformation perpetrated on the American people with the Steele dossier and Russian collusion can be the first test case to see if you can actually go to jail for it, I'm willing to have a go if you're willing to be the first defendant. We okay with that plan? But she was just getting started. Here's more Hillary.
He's still being taught, especially by the media, that the more offensive he is, the more he can dominate the media space entirely. And I feel like you've been a good diagnoser of that, not only from when you were up against him, but from when others have done so. Do you have an antidote for that, or a way that people can talk themselves out of taking that bait?
I think that's really a critical question. And I think there's a couple of things going on here. You mentioned the press, and sadly, the press is still not able to cover Trump the way that they should. They careen from one outrage to the next. What was outrageous 3 days ago is no longer on the front pages, even though it threatens the physical safety of so many people, particularly, as you point out, immigrants that he and Vance have decided to demonize.
Again, since we're in the business of prosecuting people for disinformation, is there any, where was Rachel Maddow jumping in and saying, I am sorry, Madam Secretary of State, I just need to jump in here and protect our news brand here. There is no evidence of any Haitian immigrants being in any way physically threatened by anything that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump said. There literally is no evidence of that, but I guess Rachel was daydreaming there and counting her $30 million a year she makes for doing one show a week for MSNBC. But understand what Hillary Clinton is saying here. Hillary Clinton looks at the current legacy corporate-owned media makeup in our country, and as she sees it, they're too easy on Trump. That's how she sees it right now. That's how warped this person's brain is. Good God, what Bill did to her, we'll never really fully know.
I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. The late, great journalist Harry Evans, one time said that, journalists should, really try to achieve objectivity. And by that, he said, I mean, they should cover the object. Well, the object in this case is Donald Trump, his demagoguery, his danger to our country and the world, and stick with it. They were merciless about what they saw as President Biden's, problems in the debate and calling.
Yeah, they were merciless about Biden. Let's get to that in a moment. Could George Orwell please phone in here and give us his take on the literal redefinition of the word objectivity? Did you catch that? Yeah, the media should really focus on objectivity. And by that, we mean focus on the object. In this case, the object. What? This is what happens. This is what happens in a totalitarian propaganda regime where you basically redefine words to mean what you want them to mean. Objectivity, in Hillary Clinton's perspective for the media, is to just keep focusing on Donald Trump and telling us how awful he is. I can't believe they spent so much time talking about how Joe Biden couldn't put 3 words together and looked like he was going to fall on his face because he's so mentally and physically debilitated, while Donald Trump was standing there being the same Donald Trump we've seen for the last 10 years. What's wrong with you people? The media is so obviously in the tank for Trump. That's where you have to twist your brain to sit in her seat right now and look at the world the way she looks at it. I almost pity her if she weren't such a evil witch.
For him to withdraw, I believe Donald Trump has disqualified himself over and over and over again to be a presidential candidate, let alone a president.
I do love that. And it's one of the things that elitists always say over and over and over again that I love to push back on. So I'll take this opportunity to push back too, because my guess is in your everyday life, you've got friends at work at the cubicle next to you, or maybe your liberal son-in-law, or maybe the moron on your Facebook page who says, what Trump just did is disqualifying. This is disqualifying. That is disqualifying. 100% Let's just be clear here, because it's the most elitist thing I hear ever. You will never hear me say it. You will never hear me say it. There are 2 things that are disqualifying for someone who wants to be the president of the United States. And that is, number 1, they are under the age of 35. And number 2, they're not a naturally born citizen of the United States of America. Everything else is your opinion. Your elitist superiority complex is fueling you to say, that's disqualifying. Guess what, ma'am? You've learned this better than anyone else. If the American people decide that a person you happen to detest is worthy of their vote for president of the United States, and enough of those American people living in enough states with our electoral college system has made that determination, then that person is the president of the United States. You know what's disqualifying for the presidency, Hillary Clinton? Being so unlikable and so corrupt and being such a liar that you can't get enough states to vote for you. But of course, you already know that, don't you?
Part of what Trump is counting on is for people to get desensitized. I mean, oh my gosh, did you hear what he said yesterday? Did you hear who he attacked? Did you hear the viciousness? And it just like with a shrug, okay, fine, we're moving on. Well, Americans need to understand that they have to take Trump both seriously and literally. He has said what he wants to do. He and his allies with Project 2025, his desire to be a dictator, at least on day one, all of that is in the public record. And I believe that more Americans have to be, willing to endure what frankly is discomforting and to some extent kind of painful. To take him at his word.
All right. Project 2025. He wants to be a dictator on day one. Again, disinformation is now criminally prosecutable. So let's go, honey. Time to get in the cuffs. Let's do the perp walk. We're going to let a jury of your peers decide whether you just broke the law with disinformation. My favorite part of this, and we're going to move on. We've got a little bit more Hillary Clinton for you, but I have had enough of the Rachel Maddow appearance, to be frank. But I do love the fact that he says Trump's counting on the American people being desensitized to all of this. Honestly, I can't decide what is the more overriding, remarkable aspect of Hillary Clinton personifying the left in this country in this clip right now. Is it their stupidity? Is it their cluelessness? Or is it their fascist tendencies? Because this is a woman who is saying Trump is counting on the American people to be desensitized to all of the outrageous things he says. And the only solution is for journalists in this country to quadruple down and continue to shine a light on all of the things. It should be nonstop. It should be nonstop. Trump did this. Trump said this. Trump did this. Trump said this. Trump is a threat. Trump is a threat. Trump is a threat. Trump should go to jail. Trump is a felon. Trump is a rapist. Trump is everything. Trump is that. Da, 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 da. Well, nothing desensitizes people more than the constant drumbeat that we have seen for the last 10 years. I don't want to give them any advice, but maybe for a moment, they should actually take the pedal off the gas and take his issues seriously, take his policies seriously, and debate those front on, instead of actually making the topic Donald Trump and all the things you don't like about Donald Trump, because that ain't working, babe. How about if you really want to win a political debate in this country, you actually take the issues seriously rather than your perceived threat of Donald Trump seriously? But they won't do that. Do you know why they won't do that? Because they know better than anyone else that Donald Trump is, in fact, right on the issues. And he's in line with the American people on those issues. That's why they're the ones who constantly want to make the issue Trump and what he says and what he does and lies about him and make it about him instead of what he intends to do. Now, sadly, you're going to see a lot of Hillary Clinton over the next couple of days because she's got a new book coming out because, boxed wine costs a lot of money to get drunk on every night while you're alone in your home, staring at the mirror in your bathroom saying, I could have been president. I could have been president. So here's a little bit more Hillary Clinton.
I got tears in my eyes then because this man has escaped accountability his entire life. The case, which was mistakenly called a hush money case, was an election interference case. Why did he do what he did? He did it to try to keep the information from the American public so that they wouldn't turn away from him and vote for me. So it's a pretty clear case of election interference. And
she is so incredibly deranged and seriously needs psychological help. I'm only half joking that she stares drunkenly in the mirror every night and laments losing that election. And we all know why she lost. Because she's a hateful human being. And because she refused to go to places like Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania to campaign and actually ask the people of those states for their votes. They took them for granted, of course. But I just want to point out something that she just said because it's a bit of a tell. And in fact, shines a light on something that we've all known. She's talking about the Stormy Daniels case. Now, she's right. It shouldn't be called a hush money case. We've been saying that forever because Donald Trump did not pay hush money. He paid Stormy Daniels money in exchange for her signing a non-disclosure agreement, something that everybody does all the time, including Doug Emhoff, the guy who wants to be the first dude of the United States. That's right. Kamala Harris's husband, when he had an affair with his children's babysitter and got her pregnant, he made her sign a non-disclosure agreement in exchange for money and to be taken care of. That's hush money, guys. It's the same kind of hush money that Donald Trump paid Stormy Daniels, although the difference is that Donald Trump continues to maintain that he never had sex with Stormy Daniels, something that even Doug Emhoff won't maintain about his babysitter. So she's right. It shouldn't be called a hush money case. But listen to what she says here, because this is the whole ball game right here, what she's admitting to. She's admitting to this because she needs to bolster her own ego that she should have never lost to Donald Trump, right? I only lost him because he cheated. He cheated. He cheated, I tell you. He cheated. Well, listen to what she admits here.
Tears in my eyes then, because this man has escaped accountability his entire life. The case, which was mistakenly called a hush money case, was an election interference case. Why did he do what he did? He did it to try to keep the information from the American public.
By the way, this is really rich considering Hillary Clinton and George Stephanopoulos, now of ABC News, back in the 90s when Bill Clinton was running for president, spearheaded what they called the Bimbo Eruption Squad. Bimbo Eruptions were a bunch of women who had stories to tell about Bill Clinton's time in Arkansas. They intimidated those women and got them to shut their mouths, and then intimidated the press to not find any of these women to tell their stories in the media so that the information couldn't get to the voters so that they would vote against Bill Clinton because he was such a cad. And in the case of Juanita Broderick, actually, allegedly, a rapist. Hillary Clinton created this paradigm to keep information about women that a man would have an affair with or worse from the American people. And now here she is admitting everything. That the Alvin Bragg prosecution of Donald Trump wasn't about the money. It was about election interference. Well, why is that a big deal? It's a big deal because the district attorney in Manhattan has no jurisdiction over election interference. The Department of Justice does. And the Southern District of New York, one of the most aggressive investigative bodies in the Department of Justice, looked at this issue. They spent millions of dollars in resources investigating whether the non-disclosure agreement with Stormy Daniels was tantamount to election interference. And you know what they said? They said, no, it wasn't. They dropped the case. They never brought charges in their jurisdiction against Donald Trump. That's where Alvin Bragg came in as the DA of Manhattan. And he picked it up, and he very creatively found a way to prosecute Donald Trump for election interference without prosecuting him for election interference. And here's Hillary Clinton, so high on the buzz of being vindicated. I'm not terrible. People don't hate me. See, I really did win that election. That she actually gives away the whole thing here. The problem is that this case is on appeal, and I'm pretty sure what Hillary Clinton here said could in fact be evidence in that appeal. That thing's getting overturned big time. Real fast, we'll finish this up.
When you heard that he had been convicted, there had to be, you're human, there had to be a side of you after enduring months of hearing lock her up, thinking,
Right.
This is the person who's actually facing time in jail.
Looks like karma to me.
A completely unlikable, odious individual. Good God, we dodged a bullet with her. But I just want to point out one other thing, because so much of what we do here is to shine a light on really bad journalism and media malpractice by the propaganda press. This is CBS Sunday Morning, CBS News conducting this interview. I just want to point something out here.
You heard that he had been convicted. There had to be, you're human, there had to be a side of you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's no evidence to support that claim. I'm not sure where they came up with this whole Hillary is a human thing. But unless you have evidence to prove that, some sort of firsthand knowledge, you shouldn't make that claim in the middle of an interview, right? That's outrageous. I maintain that in no way is she a human. Do we want one more? Do we want the Elon Musk thing, Kevin? Or yeah, well, I've mentioned it now, so we're going to. A little bit more Hillary Clinton here, this time in a podcast, because she's got a book to sell, you know.
But I think Taylor Swift brings an unusual impact to an endorsement. I think that endorsement, and as you rightly said, it's already driven registrations of voters. She mentioned voting, registration again when she won yet another award. So I think this has real impact.
I do too. And it was interesting because I thought, oh, please, Trump, don't say a stupid thing about her, right?
Yeah, I want to get to that in a moment, but I do love Hillary Clinton. This Taylor Swift thing. Well, if only Taylor Swift had endorsed me. She got 98 out of 100 of the nation's largest newspapers to endorse her for president. She had Beyonce. She had Jay-Z. She had every late night comedian on her side. She had all of Saturday Night Live on. She had all of pop culture on her side. And who didn't endorse her? But here, this Taylor Swift thing, game changer, baby. Game changer. Do you remember the Democratic National Convention with all of the movie stars and the TV stars and the musicians and the pop stars and the entire cast of Hamilton and on and on and on. And that still couldn't help her because she's just that bad. And you can just hear the envy in her voice now. Kamala got Taylor Swift. Oh, what could have been?
Say nothing or move along. And his spokesman called her a teeny bopper. And I was like, what do you live in the 50s? What?
Yeah. Well, he had his alter ego, Elon Musk, say something really rotten and creepy about her.
Please comment on that. It was what Elon said. It was he essentially would have a baby with her or forcibly have a baby with her. And then
impregnate her. Which, is kind of another way of saying rape, I think.
So Hillary Clinton just claimed that Elon Musk threatened to rape Taylor Swift. I can't. Was this on anybody's bingo card? Hillary Clinton just accused Elon Musk of threatening to rape Taylor Swift. Now, I'm sure you didn't see this, but I'll go ahead and show it to you. The offending post on X is before you now. Find Taylor, you win, I will give you a child, and guard your cats with my life. And by the way, as funny Elon Musk's tweets go, this isn't his best work. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's fine, but it's not that funny. But this is a rape threat? By the way, maybe it's me. Maybe I don't have a warped mind. No, strike that. I do have a warped mind. But even with my warped mind, am I the only one who saw this and didn't think that he was talking about having sex with Taylor Swift? I mean, one thing we know about Elon Musk is he's got a gaggle of children, right? He's got I swear to God, I thought he meant he would give her one of his existing children. I'm sorry. That is literally what I thought. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm naive. He meant, okay, fine, Taylor, you win. I'll impregnate you. I'll have sex with you. Either way, for Hillary Clinton then to take this and extrapolate it into Elon Musk threatened to rape Taylor Swift. Oh, the outrage. You know, you wonder why the American people are desensitized to some of the things we hear from these radicals, from these propagandists. And you recognize that almost everything they say is a lie, at best an exaggeration. And they still insist that you take them not just seriously, but you take them as the most serious people in the world. And I don't know. I mean, if I'm Elon Musk and I've got unlimited funds for lawyers, maybe I'm suing over this one. I mean, what's worse? Elon Musk tweeting that, obviously in jest, to Taylor Swift, or Hillary Clinton using her profile and her platform falsely claiming that he threatened to rape Taylor Swift? I mean, that's kind of defamation-y, isn't it? Elon? Might want to look into that. Might be worth your while.